everyone, Midlife Maestro here. Welcome to my review of Venture to the Vile. Venture to the Vile is a 2.5D indie Metroidvania developed by Cut to Bits and published by Aniplex Incorporated. It just came out on Steam on May 22nd, 2024. From the beginning, you'll notice that the graphics are absolutely beautiful. The art direction gives off these amazing Tim Burton vibes, a combination of gothic and whimsical elements. This unique style makes the game's world incredibly immersive. The characters in the game are quite distinctive too. They wear animal masks and they have animal last names due to the traditions and the setting of the game, called Rainybrook. The story of Rainybrook and its inhabitants is fairly compelling. You play as Vincent, who, like many others, has been infected by a plague called the Vile. Instead of turning into a mindless deadly creature though, Vincent gains powers that let him fight back. This helps him with a very personal mission, to find his childhood friend Ella. She's gone missing, and he fears she's fallen victim to the Vile too. Early on, he's rescued by Dr. Crow after a battle with an infected monster. He then sends Vincent out on a quest to collect samples of the Vile in order to study it. However, Crow's motivations are clearly selfish. He sends Vincent out to do his dirty work, not expecting him to survive for very long. Interactions with NPCs like Dr. Crow, along with, thankfully, much nicer people, add rich texture to the story and provide some truly engaging moments. The characters speak in a kind of gibberish when interacting, and I was concerned that that would end up being annoying, but it actually was quite cute due to its variety. However, the overall theme feels a bit familiar, and let's face it, it lacks originality. While a plague that turns inhabitants into monsters can make for a cool, eerie story, it's been done many times before. The moody atmosphere is complemented by excellent sound design and music. It's not a soundtrack you'll likely hum along to or get stuck in your head, but it is superb nonetheless. The overall controls are competent, but I can't help but think they could have been crisper. The combat feels okay, but it could use more polish, and the special attack can be tough to pull off in time. Plus, there's no fast travel, so you can spend a lot of time wandering around, especially since it's easy to get lost. Boss fights were what you'd expect in the Metroidvania genre, but I personally like to see the enemies' HP bars, especially for bosses, which this game lacks. You never really know how close you are to defeating them. There were, unfortunately, some bugs in gameplay. I encountered a couple of glitches where Vincent would just start falling continuously, and the only solution was to restart the game. That definitely took away from the experience. One major gripe I have is with the game's time and weather mechanics. Some quests are only available at certain times or in certain weather conditions, but you don't have much control over these elements. This can make completing certain parts of the game very frustrating. Also, trying to 100% the game involves destroying these flower-like things that sometimes only appear at specific times of the day, and that ties back into the time management issue. The developers promise an update to make advancing time easier. When it comes to value and replayability, it'll probably take the average player around 12 hours to complete, I'd say, which is a decent length for this type of game. There is some replayability in that you can keep going to get all the achievements and get multiple endings. However, at $25 on Steam at the time of this review, it feels a touch too expensive in my opinion. Alright, so let's wrap it up with an objective scoring system. I score games based on 5 categories with a max of 2 points each. Added together, this gives a value out of 10, which I call the Maestro mark. Narrative, 1.5 points. It's a common story told very well with engaging NPC interactions. Graphics, 2 points. The moody, Burton-esque graphics were top-notch. Gameplay and mechanics, 1 point. The controls could be crisper, and I wish there was an HP bar, at least for bosses. Music and sound, 1.5 points. The soundtrack is moody and beautiful, though not particularly memorable. Value and replayability, 1 point. It is a touch too expensive for how short the game is, and the replayability options exist mainly in 100%ing the game. This gives a Maestro mark of 7.5, which means I think you might like it. So that's all I got. If you played the game, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please consider subscribing as well. This little channel is a lot of fun for me, and it's really motivating to see that people are watching my videos. Take care, everyone.